Good morning, this is Distract Beam. Today I'm going to be making a camera slider. I'm going to be using this C-beam by OpenBuilds. That's openbuilds.com. And I got this XLarge gantry plate and this accessories. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take out the gantry plate. And this is a C-beam gantry plate, so it's going to be a little bit thicker than the standard gantry plate. It's about 6 millimeters thick. And it's going to bolt on the wheels that are going to hold it here. And I'm going to put the camera head on top. So I'm going to have to put a bolt up through here that's going to attach to the camera head. I'm going to do that first. Most camera heads attach with a 3/8 16 bolt. So I've got this. You can get 2 of them in a pack for about $1. These are auto grade, so this is way overkill. You could just use brass or whatever, something cheaper. Anyway, it's class 8. This is 3/4 of an inch long, 3/8 16 bolt, and this does not fit through that hole. So what you could do is just drill this out so it'll be big enough for this to fit through it, and then screw the head onto it. But I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to drill this out, and then I'm going to tap it so that I can screw this into it. So if I want to remove the head, the bolt will stay inside. And I'm going to be using this 3/8 16 tap that I got for about $8. And start with a little cutting oil. And then I'm going to use the tap. And now the bolt should just thread right in. So now we know that the bolt will fit into the hole, but when it sticks up, is it going to stick up too far? Is it going to drill into the head and then try to keep on going? And if it does that, it'll wobble. So I got this on Amazon. On Amazon it's advertised as a Pein, but it's actually a Kingjoy. It's a simple fluid head. And I need to find out how far into the bottom it goes in. Alright, now it looks like that's about it. So if we go all the way into the head and we remove the space of the gantry, it should fit flush and be fine. But just to be safe, I'm going to use a washer and a lock washer to prevent it from coming out. You want to get it just until the lock washer sits flush. But you don't want to overdo it because you are going into aluminum. And the aluminum can fail. So now we've got our head mount. Next up is the wheels. And I went with the Delrin wheels, which are these clear polycarbonate ones, because they're rated for 25 pounds a piece. So the other ones, I'm not sure, but 4 of them together should be able to hold 100 pounds, which is far more than I plan on ever using on this rig. And like I said about overkill. So these M5s that are 30 millimeters long, when placed in the hole, with the spacer and the shim and the wheel. Don't really give quite enough threads to get full bite onto the nylon. So I went to the store and I got these 40mm ones. And that will give me plenty of room. You can get a pack of 4. They are M5s with a 0.8 twist, 40mm long. It's about $1 for 4 of them. With the spacer and the shim and the wheel. Now I've got plenty of extra thread. So a 35mm would have been much better, but they did not have one. So getting a hold of this is going to be a lot more difficult. And the eccentric spacers. Now as it stands, this is already going to be better than what you're going to be able to buy on Amazon for a similar price, because this, it doesn't have the little plastic bushings that they want to call bearings, and it doesn't bend in the middle, it doesn't bow in the middle. This is a solid 5-pound piece of aluminum that's going to be holding this steady. So as it stands, this is already a pretty good slider. But I want to make it a little bit better. And what sets it apart from the ones that cost $500 or more is that those have an assist when it comes to moving this. So it's not going to be up to you trying to get it to move steady. Now you can probably do that if you have a very smooth hand, but if you put a flywheel on it or a motor, that's going to make it that much better. So I'm going to be using a flywheel. And for that, I got these 2.5-pound weights. I got them from Walmart for $2. And I'm going to be attaching it with a rod. This is a 12mm rod. It's 13 inches long, and it is chrome plated and case hardened. So I'm going to be putting this through here, drilling a hole through the rail, and then using bearings to hold it together. So I'm going to want to drill a hole so that there's enough room to where this doesn't touch the end. In case I ever want to lay it on its side, I don't want to be putting a lot of weight on the weight and then on the rod. So I'm going to allow there to be a little room here. And plus, I'm going to give it a little bit extra just in case I want to put a bigger weight on it if I use a heavier camera. got are these flange pillow block bearings for the 12mm shaft. And it's not ideal the way I'm going to be using it because it's not designed to take thrust force, but it should be strong enough to hold it. So I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to put another one on the bottom, and then I'm going to run the rod through that and hold the weight with the rod. So these are 8mm long. I think a 10mm would have been better. So that's the idea, that's how it's supposed to work, and I think it'll be fine. I'm a little concerned about a little bit of slop in here. I got these little rubber O-rings to go around it, but I don't know how well that's going to work at all. That's not bad. Now I only got one of these rods, which means I'm going to need another one to go at the end of it. And as I expected, this is going to be way too long. So I'm going to chop this. And I want to give enough room that if I really want to, I can put a second weight on top of this. So like that. Well, what that's going to end up doing is it's going to throw the balance of this off. So all the weight's going to be on this side, which means I need to have 5 pounds also on the other side. What I'm thinking of doing is I'll just chop this in half, put it on the other side, put another weight on top of that one, and that way it'll be evenly balanced on both sides. So I'm going to mark this here. I'm going to mark this. There we go. So this line is going to be for a cut, and I'm going to want to put a flat just below this, this, and this, so that those studs can screw right in. Too awful bad. I got one for one side, I gotta do another one for the other side. So now I've got two rods that are, for better or for worse, identical. And my goal here is to install this with the teeth down, because I want it to be as close to underneath this as I can get it. I'm going to try and use this little rubber O-ring. Yeah, weight like holds it there. There we go. And I got a little bit more room on top in case I want to fit another one in. So now for the question of how am I going to attach the belt. I'm just going to use a 20mm M5 with a spacer and then a T-nut on the bottom. Here. And then the spacer. And then the T. I'm using a 6mm belt. So I'm going to use a 6mm spacer. Right. And the same thing for the other side. Alright. And the belt that I bought is a Mercurry GT2. And I got way more than I actually needed. I'm going to try the zip tie method and see how well that works. So that's neat, and it's also neat that the quick release on my Velbon tripod is the same as the quick release on this, so I can just take it and pop it right on and be good to go. And then take it and pop it off and put it on my tripod and be good to go. So that's handy. But one thing that is a problem is that I've got this bearing sitting on the bottom. So what that means is if I just try and lay it on a flat surface, it's not going to work. So how do you support this thing? Because it's fairly hefty. It's 5 pounds of aluminum, 5 pounds of weights in total, and then with the head and the camera, that's another 5 pounds. That's a total of 15 pounds. So you can't just use an average tripod. Like this Velbon that I'm using is good for 8 pounds. So what that means is I would either need to use 2 of them, one on each side, or find out something else. I know you can get leveling legs, which is just a matter of drilling a hole and then another hole, and then you just screw the legs in, and then you can make them go up and down by turning them. And that's about $5 for a pack of 4, so that would work. I was also considering maybe just getting a bipod, like for a rifle, so that the legs would just spring up and it'd be ready to go. But either one of those, it's not going to be able to go very high. It's going to be able to go to about here max. So you're not going to have a lot of options there. If you ever want to get it at table height, you either have to put it on a table or get a really hefty tripod. So the first thing I'm going to try to do is to drill out a couple of these T-nuts. That should work. So there is 2 M5 T-nuts turned into 1/4 20 T-nuts. So now I can slide this into here, and then I can put my quick release into that. If I do the same thing on the other side, I can put 2 tripods on without actually drilling into the aluminum. Now drilling into the aluminum is okay, but because it's aluminum, if you put too much stress on it, it will just tear out the thread, so you'll lose it. I might do that anyway just to have a backup, but for right now I'm going to try and use these because they are steel.